recording. And here we go. All right, so I'm closing my eyes and placing my hands on my heart. Taking in that deep breath of love and gratitude. So grateful for this time to come together from all over the world. Grateful for our willingness to have open hearts and open minds to shine away any and all blocks to love, knowing that they are dissolving and resolving back to the nothingness from which they came. We are grateful for our earthly and heavenly helpers that are joining us now, surrounding and supporting us, supporting the technology that we get to use to come together, blessing our time together, blessing each and every one of us, loving us, all those here and all who may listen later. And we're grateful that we get to share the benefits of our lives of love and the love that we are expanding into with everyone because we're one with them. In grace and gratitude, we let it be, and so it is. Amen. All right, so we are in chapter 24, section 5, the Christ in you. And I'm going to start us with paragraph 6. The Christ in you is very still. He knows where you are going, and he leads you there in gentleness and blessing all the way. His love for God replaces all the fear you thought you saw within yourself. His holiness shows you himself in him, whose hand you hold and whom you lead to him. And what you see is like yourself. For what but Christ is there to see and hear and love and follow home? He looked upon you first, but recognized that you were not complete. And so he sought for you, for your completion in each living thing that he beholds and loves, and seeks it still, that each might offer you the love of God. And when I read that, what popped into my mind is just that feeling that I got when I first started really studying the course again and reading the course again and living the course and what I was learning through Masterful Living, and just feeling that heart expansion and just really wanting to share it with everybody, because I was like, this is so good. I want everybody to feel like this. I want everybody to be to feel loved and protected and cared for and safe and joyful. So that's what that paragraph 6 reminds me of. It was my aha from that reading. Who else would like to share anything they got from the reading? Or go ahead, Carla. I know we always start off quiet, but we gather momentum.
I think I was texting and the time went away, so I think I missed something, but that's what I do have paragraph 6 a lot highlighted. But also in 7, let's see, there's a couple things I want to say. 7, line 7, the sight of Christ is all there is to see. The song of Christ is all there is to hear. The hand of Christ is all there is to hold. There is no journey but to walk with him. I think this goes with something else I want to share, but I had and this is the thing that I think it's something else I read is that I'm realizing that it looks like things happen in my life. It looks like, I have accidents with my car, or I have a renter that doesn't want to fulfill his obligations, but what I know is this. I'm really, really had a really strong realization that all my life, all my life, all my life, it's been leading up to, I was being gently guided by the I am to awareness of the trust. I mean, I think my AIG in like 2015 was to follow, to listen to spirit and to trust and to be open and willing. And yeah, I wasn't, but I did it well enough. Oh, I'm fine with it. And it has never changed, but the wording has, but I just trust so deeply. And I'm so grateful that no matter what I've chosen in the past, nothing I've ever chosen, whether it's ever been held against me. So I'm going to read this. I know it's not. So it came out of me. I didn't think about it. I didn't contemplate it. I just wrote it. And then my life became it. And it's still becoming it. So it was supposed to be how I feel in the end of 2018, but I wrote it how I feel now. I feel so free, loving myself and others equally. I wake up each day with a joyful curiosity, wondering what new, exciting learning opportunity the I am is going to offer today. I know deeply and intuitively that all is working to the highest good with the trust far beyond anything I ever imagined possible. I live a full and fully guided life, clearly knowing and following the voice of spirit with ease. I enjoy, and this is at first I didn't understand it, but I do understand it now. I enjoy spirit extending through me and activating itself in others. I feel a peace deep inside that mere words can barely begin to describe. I am actively living my divine blueprint. All is well. So that's why here in this whole thing that I realized that just this last week, but it's been years in the making, but that's okay. I'm happy. I'm okay with all that. I'm happy with myself because what the I am leading me is really me leading me. I love me so deeply. And I have, and everybody else, because we are one. So I'll go to paragraph 3, second line. The Christ in you looks only on the truth and sees no condemnation that would need forgiveness. Because I realized when I went to Jennifer's workshop, a forgiveness workshop, what is forgiveness? It's not, accepting what they are, and it's letting go of the meaning of what you made of what they choose, because they're on their own path of awakening. I don't know what what's going on for them. Well, maybe slightly because we are one, but it's their own individual curriculum. My individual curriculum is to love them as they are, allow them to travel their own journey to awakening, and love them throughout as I love myself. I love this reading. It was one of my really very joyful ones in a long time. So I'll stop now.
Thank you, Carla. Deborah, I wanted to let you know that I muted everybody at the beginning, so you'll need to *6 if you would like to share. Welcome, Gerald. And then Leslie, I see your hand raised.
Hi, everyone.
Here you are.
I'm sorry I was late on the call. Did Hamira share her 10-day Vipassana experience yet? Because if I miss it, I'll be so sad. Okay, not yet. Okay, good. I'm excited. I've been thinking and praying about it all week, so I can't wait to hear if you're going to share about it. But I'm very curious because I don't think I could ever be brave enough to do something like that. It's something I want to do. You know how you're willing to be willing. I want to do a Vipassana, but I mean, I was just without powers for 48 hours and it was everything I could do to hold on to my peace, which I did. So I was very grateful for that, but I miss my electricity. Anyway, I just want to say that I enjoyed this reading too. I like paragraph 7 a lot, just towards the end, sentence 7, the sight of Christ is all there is to see. The song of Christ is all there is to hear. The hand of Christ is all there is to hold. There's no journey but to walk with him. And I just love to remember, especially when one is irritated or annoyed with somebody, that I'm choosing that and I can choose to see the Christ in them instead. So I have a quick story, of course, and I'm glad you guys like my stories. So Scott and I have been getting along very well. He's my husband. I got home from work one day and he looked rather cranky. And I'm just like, I was in a good mood though, you know, I'm like, hi honey, how are you? And he's like, I'm tired. And I'm like, oh, what'd you do? You know, and he's like, I weed whacked. And I'm like, okay, he always weed whacks. Weed whacking is not that big deal. Yeah, we have a ginormous yard, but okay. So I'm chattering on and I could still tell he was still totally disengaged, you know. So do I keep poking the bear? Of course I keep poking the bear because I can't just say, let the man be, Leslie, you know. So I'm just like, honey, what's wrong? You seem like you're in a really bad mood. What can I do? You know, he's like, and he yells. He's like, I told you I'm effing tired. And I'm just like, my heart was open like this and went bam. My heart closed so fast. It wasn't even funny. So I just shut my mouth. I turned around and I just said, I'm going outside. So I went outside and I did some weeding for about 30 minutes. And I mean, I was stewing. I'm like, I am not forgiving him for this. I don't deserve to be treated like this. I blah, you know how the ego talks, is wah, 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 in your ear. So he comes out and he's like, dinner's ready. And so I came in, so we're eating dinner in silence. You know, neither one of us are saying a word. And I'm just like, I am not forgiving him. I'm not going to be the first one because neither one of us can hold grudges at all, you know. And he says, oh, the salad was really good. And I say, thank you. And so then after dinner, we're putting our dishes in the sink and he comes out behind me and starts kissing my neck, you know, and I'm like, is this your way of saying you're sorry? He's like, no, you know, so, and so he starts to do something and I went to do something and then we bought some ice cream cones, extra cones. And so I'm like, honey, no, I didn't say honey. I said, did you want an ice cream cone? I'm making one for myself. He's like, yes, please. That'd be wonderful. So I made him a really good ice cream cone, really good, like double scoop, you know, ice cream in the cone. And I went over and handed it to him. I just said, honey, I said, I'm so sorry for not listening to you the first time you told me you were tired. And he said, I'm sorry too. And just like that, bam, my heart opened back up. Everything's been fine ever since. And I guess the reason I want to share that story is I did it to myself. I have to be the one to take responsibility for that whole issue. He would not have yelled and raised his voice if the first time he told me, I'm really tired. I would have respected that and said, gosh, honey. And he, what I found out he did is he edged all, and we have a huge driveway and along the road, he edged everything. It was like 90 degrees. I mean, to me, he's retired. Why he didn't take 3 days to do it? He likes to get things done, but taking total responsibility, my ego did not want me to do it, but I was so grateful that I was able to come to the conclusion that because we've had this discussion before, that he tells me something one time and I don't listen to him. I always like confirmation. Like I'll be like, are you sure? Do you really want? And when he said something, he means it. So he's tired. Let the man be. Don't keep poking the bear. And then the next day he wrote me a really sweet note and I wrote him a really sweet text. And I mean, everything's just been beautiful ever since. And so he raised his voice. You know, it's not the end of the world. Did it hurt my feelings at the time? Absolutely. But he was probably obviously very annoyed at me too. So it was good all the way around. So, and then the second little story I just wanted to share was something my mom did that I thought was so brilliant. She had her 6-year-old great grandson. So my sister's daughter's son, and my mom's only 70, so she's a young great grandma. She took him to the county fair and she said that he could have $5 and that was it. And this just walking across the street, the fair was really close to where they live. And she gave him $5. And so he was looking at all the games and trying to decide which game to pick, you know, and he finally wanted the one where you could throw the ring. And if you got the ring on the whatever, then you got to take a fish home. So he really, really wanted to play this game. So my mom said, okay, but just so you know, they make these games look a lot harder. They make the games look a lot easier than they actually are, honey. It's really hard to win the fish. And he's like, no, I can do it. You know, I'm really good at throwing the ring or whatever. So he does it. And of course he loses. So disappointed. He doesn't cry, but he gets very, very mopey and very just not having a good time now. And my mom just got down on her haunches with him and just said, sweetheart, you have a choice here. She's like, you can be sad the rest of the day at the fair because you didn't win the fish, or you can have a good time. The choice is up to you. And she said he was sad for about 45 minutes. And then he found somebody to go on a ride with. And then he went on the ride. And then he had a great time the rest of the day. And I just thought that was such a beautiful example of not clinging to something, as far as we're all trying not to cling to these bad experiences. It's like if we let them go through us, then they go through us and we can get past them. And I mean, he never even told his mom about the story about playing the game and losing the fish and all that. And so I just thought that was what a great thing to start teaching a 6-year-old. And I know it's great grandma and we only see him so often, but I just thought that was a really neat story. Thank you for listening. And it's good to be here. I was without power for the last 48 hours. So I wasn't sure if that was going to happen, and I didn't lose my peace at all for that time. So I'm quite a little proud of myself. So thank you.
Thank you, Leslie. We love your stories. And I'm so glad that you and your husband were able to, you know, come together and just give each other that space of, you know, you realize that he was tired and he expressed that and you weren't really listening. And then him realizing that he kind of lashed out at you and you were just being yourself. Yeah, thank you. Who else? Myra, go ahead.
Thanks, Linda.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Well, first of all, thank you so much for the prayers. that you all held for me while I was doing the 10-day, because I don't think I could have made it without all the prayers and support that was being sent my way. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. And so much came up for me throughout the whole time. I mean, I was, so we would start, you'd get up at 4 in the morning, 4:30, you were in the meditation hall, and you were literally meditating all the way till 9 p.m. with like a break at 6:30 for breakfast, a break at 11 for lunch. That was your meal for the entire day. And then at 5:30, you had like some fruits. And then you'd back into the meditation hall. And so Vipassana is all about feeling the sensations in the body from head to toe, from toe to head constantly. But the thoughts were so loud. So these thoughts that I've been telling you guys about over the past year or so were amplified that times 1,000. So I thought I was going crazy. I literally felt like I was going crazy. And I kept going, because you can't, obviously it's noble silence, so you're not talking to anybody, but you could ask the teacher questions. They have time intervals for that during lunch. So I would go, actually, I didn't go. What happened was she sent her assistant. This is really weird. I mean, it's not weird, it's God, but she said, it was my first or second day, I think, I can't remember. They all like meshed together, but she said the teacher would like to see you. And I was like, oh my God, did I do something wrong? Because I was thinking I took too many mats. I don't know how to sit. I'm probably using too, and she just looked at me. She's like, don't worry. She sometimes wants to talk to students and see how they're doing and whatnot. So I don't know what she touched on, but right after that, like I literally just like started crying, because I really needed that connection with somebody to watch me, because I was so struggling. So I go into her, and she was this amazing Buddha natured woman who was just held the world in her hands and was just full of compassion and love. And from what I heard, that other teachers weren't as amazing as her. So I got the best of the best. And she said to me, you're going through something huge, aren't you? And I'm like, I didn't share that on my application. And she's like, I said, yeah. She said, I feel like it's a crisis. And I said, yeah, but it's not new. It was like 2.5. She said, but you're in it. You're in it. And I said, yeah. And she said, it might have been wiser for you to have waited a little bit longer, because, we usually recommend that. Had you put that on the application, maybe that's what they would have said. But now that you're here, let's make sure you're supported. Meet with me every week, every day for 10 minutes. Let's just check in. And that also really helped me, because I would go to her and I go, I think I'm losing my mind. I'm going crazy. These thoughts are so loud. I don't know if I'm doing. And she's like, no, they're loud for everybody. That's what happens. That's the whole purpose. You just have to keep going to the sensations and just don't try to stop the thoughts. Don't try. And I'm like, but I want the thoughts to go away. So she's like, no, that's not the purpose. The purpose of Vipassana is to watch things and let things be as they are. And as you do that, that naturally quiets down. But it was a big time struggle. So, I would have 1 or 2 meditation sittings that we did for an hour and a half that were okay, but most of them were like, in my head. And, but, after the 9th day, so the 10th day, you break the noble silence. So you can talk to other people that are there. And, when we connected there was like 22 other women, similar experiences other people were telling me, similar, and that everybody would go to their room at 9 o'clock and literally like bawl, as like just crying and thinking, what the hell am I doing here? Because they, you took your phones, you didn't have any notebooks, and I followed what they said. You couldn't eat, like there was no distractions. It was you and your thoughts. So 10 days, and I just like, oh my God, day 1 felt like 10 years, day 2 felt like 20. It just was like that. But when it was over on the 10th day, I was so grateful that I had stayed, that determination. And it was not on me. It was your prayers. It was that teacher who saw me. That was God working. I saw a few things like right up, there was just a couple of times I was about to give up because I was like, I thought I was going crazy. And you guys know my connection with hummingbirds. And I swear to God, you guys, it was like the third day, there was no birds, no hummingbirds. There was all kinds of birds, but no. And literally a hummingbird comes and I'm like, that can't be. And it's like right in my face. And it stays. And like, I'm like, okay, I see the sign. There was another time that I'm like totally about to give up, like another day, and I come out of the meditation and there's a rainbow in the sky, and during like 9 o'clock in the morning, there's no rain or anything, but there's a rainbow in the sky. I mean, it was like that. So I felt like angels were all around me, but the still that I had to face the hell. I had to, it wasn't piece by piece. Literally the hell was right there, and the hell is in my mind, right? So then, once that was over, I made the decision. I hope I stick with it. So far I have. So they ask of you to do 2 hour, 1 in the morning, 1 hour, 1 in the evening before you retire of sitting. And I've been doing it so far. I get up at 4:30 in the morning and I've been doing it. And something big happened while I was gone. So as you guys know, my brother's addiction issues have been heightened for a while now, and he lives in a building that my mom owns, and he's been a terror to the tenants and everybody there, even though like he's very handy. He's a menace, so I don't know why he had probably paranoia. He had gotten to it with one of the old tenants that lives there, and oh my God, he had thrown his huge TV from the second floor. He had tried to break the gate of this person's apartment. I mean, and so my mom and the tenants had called the police to come, and they did, and they basically got him out of there. He's no longer living there. But I was so grateful. I missed all of that drama. I was so grateful I didn't have a phone to hear about that. I was so grateful that, because my peace, I couldn't have peace with all of that. Like I couldn't do what I needed to do had I, had a phone and I had heard about all that. There's no way. I was really grateful for that. So, reading like this, the Christ is in you. And I was looking at the first paragraph. It says, the Christ in you is very still. He looks on what he loves and knows it as himself. And thus does he rejoice at what he sees, because he knows that it is one with him and with his Father. Specialness too takes joy in what it sees, although it is not true. Yet what you seek for is a source of joy as you conceive it. What you wish is true for you. Nor is it possible that you can wish for something and lack faith that it is so. Wishing makes real as surely as does will create. The power of a wish upholds illusions as strongly as does love extend itself, except that one deludes and the other heals. So I opened my phone, the last day, and, I get a slew of texts from my brother saying my mom must be on drugs because she's delusional and I need to help. And if I'm drugging her, I'm going to go to hell and he's going to imprison, all of this, right? And I'm still trying to stay balanced, but, of course I get this buzz, but I drive home. I don't call home. I don't check in. I don't I don't respond to any of his texts. I come home. And, then I hear the news from my mom and my cousins, my uncles, or my uncle was here with my mom to support her while they were kicking my brother out. And, I think about, I could point the finger and say, this is about my brother, where it says, nor is it possible that you can wish for something and lack faith that it is so. But that's for me too. I have had, what became clear to me in these 10 days of hell/heaven was that I am the creator of my hell and I'm the creator of my heaven. And I have made a story in my mind about why Charles left and how I'm unlovable and how horrible he is. So I was the victim in those stories while I was sitting in this was screaming him, or I was the villain, and I was like I had done something wrong, and and I was crucifying him or crucifying myself. It was back and forth. And this thing I have made up, and I have had such attachment to that I haven't been able. And I'm not saying that I'm so clear now that I'm able, but I'm just saying it brought an opening to see maybe my story isn't correct. Maybe there's something more. Maybe I don't know what anything means. Maybe I don't know what anything is for. Maybe there's something bigger here that happened, and that this needed to happen, you know. And in the Vipassana training that we went to, he talked about sankharas, like you come in with certain conditionings from past lifetimes, you know, things. So if, let's say, Charles didn't go away and something else would have happened, because those are the things one has to deal with, not to be punished, but to heal from, you know. And so, you know, I came to a lot of different kind of understandings in tiny ways. And then something happened where last night, you know, I lost my cool and my you know, my centeredness, and I texted my brother with a not too nice things, like, you know, you say you're helping, you're loving, but you've been a menace, you've been this, you know, which was not helpful because I suffered. But the reason I did that was an hour earlier, and this is where I lost it. He had called my ex-husband. Now, this ex-husband of mine is the one he pulled a knife on one time when he was paranoid. To help him, by the way, asking Charles to help him defend him against my mom in court, because she's gonna lose our business, the business of the building, because she doesn't know what she's doing. And so Charles had texted my mom saying, you know, Shoket, by the way, Pedro called. He asked for my help to defend him. I think he's using again. I'm sorry about that. Sorry, I can't be any more help. You know, I hope you and Homera are okay. And that was it. And so I responded, but what was interesting about the Charles situation, and as I'm talking, I'm getting a little dysregulated, but I didn't go off. Like, that would have killed me. I wouldn't have slept for probably a whole week about that, but I didn't. And that, I think something is going on that shifted a little bit. So anyway, sorry guys if I talked a lot, but just wanted to share that with you because you're my family, and I'm so grateful for all of you and for all your support and prayers. And please pray for my brother too. Please, please, please. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Amira, for sharing all of that with us, and for allowing us to be a part of this journey with you, and to help support you and your brother and your mom through all of this. Yeah, it's huge wins for you, even with everything that's going on. So yeah, love and prayers all around for you, sweetie. Thank you. Grace.
Yeah, Homera, I want to echo what Linda just said. It's a very brave move to go away for 10 days silence. And I've done a couple of them, but 5 and 7 days. And it's just so hard getting up at 4 and not eating that much and going the whole day just sitting, meditating. So you're really in the fast lane. You're just amazing. So I wanted to say thank you for the stories. I love all your stories, and I love Leslie's stories. And even though they are stories, they are reflecting the way that Course in Miracles is affecting our lives. So I studied the Course in Miracles for a few years with the teacher, and all we did was talk about the Course in Miracles. And I made no progress at all. I just didn't get it. I didn't practice it. I wasn't applying it to my life. We just talked about the text. And so it was kind of, I mean, I did get some comfort from it, but I didn't actually know how it worked. And it was coming to Masterful Living and working in groups that I got to practice a lot of the stuff. And And I love the stories, like Leslie's stories, just it brings it down to earth to me. And I think I'm a very practical person, and I need to have examples. So a couple of examples that I have was, since I realized I'm the creator, creating my life and making the world around me be what it is, I thought, I wonder what that would be like to be able to just sleep through the night and not wake up. Just sleep through the night. And it would be my preference. That would be really great, you know. And lo and behold, the last 2 nights I've just slept right through the night. So I thought, wow, okay, because I am spirit and my body is just an instrument of my mind, and my mind is now telling my body what to do. So I said to myself, wouldn't that be great if I was able to get more accomplished during the day, not be tired in the evening? I had a lot of jobs to do because I'm going away in about 3 weeks for quite a long time to help my daughters. And the house needs knocking into shape, and the garden a bit. And it's tiring, house and garden, it's tiring. And so I thought, well, gosh, wonder what that would be like to have more energy, to get the jobs done, to be able to get on the ladder and fix the smoke alarm on my own without hiring somebody. Well, the last couple of days, I have been working in the evening. I have taken things out of the wall. I've been putting spackling it instead, tidying up the garage, getting my house on track, getting a list of jobs done. I'm like, well, heck, I'm creating my own life. What else can I create? So I've been looking for a handyman for like 2 months to come and help me. I thought, you know what? I'm going to just let go of that. Don't need a handyman, and he will turn up. I get a phone call from this handyman that my friend used. And within a minute, we're talking about spirit, loving other people, laughing. And I told him, yeah, sometimes I wake up in the morning and I go, oh, thank you, God. First of all, I'm alive. Secondly, nothing hurts. and thirdly, I'd love it if you gave me a belly laugh today, because I love a good laugh. And so this handyman, Bruce, came on the phone to me, and I was telling him, and he was telling me how much he loved to laugh and joke. And he says, I don't need many clients. I'm just looking for some permanent clients, but I only choose the ones I like. So I told him about how I asked God for the belly laugh. He thought that was great. He said, yeah, I like you. I'm going to come around and take you on. And so not only does he do carpentry, but he also does tile work. Some tiles had fallen off part of the bathroom. Yeah, he says, I can do all that. Send me a list of jobs and I'll be around. And so I said, well, what's your fee, by the way? He says, oh, I charge $60 an hour. Can you afford that? And I'm like, what? I mean, most people charge double that. So yeah, if you've got any more stories about how you're creating your life, I think for me, it's very encouraging. It brings the Course of Miracles down to real life and to the potential. And I'm probably still playing it small. I could probably, you know, do more. So yeah, give me ideas about how to play bigger. Thank you.
Thank you, Grace. And I don't know if you know, or the majority of you know, but the name of this group is ACIM Comes to Life, starring you. And so that was my whole preface for starting this group 3 years ago, is that we are going to learn how to live it. That A Course in Miracles, that we are going to be the stars of this book.
What did you call it? ACIM?
Yeah, ACIM Comes to Life, starring you.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I love it. Let's bring it to life and let's grow life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what drew me to studying with Jennifer, is because she doesn't just spout A Course in Miracles.
Yeah.
She tells us how she's living it. And so she's a way shower for us for that.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, we can do that for each other. So yeah, thank you, Grace, for your manifestation of a good night's sleep, excess energy, and a handyman. Wonderful.
Thanks, Linda.
Yeah, thank you. Kathy.
Yeah, that just inspired me because I appreciate that about Jennifer as well. She's a way shower, and it's like, really, that's that I would strive to be like that. And it's like, wow, some of us have waited kind of a long time to get that realization. And what helped me just most recently, and I may have shared this already, you guys, but I did take a small class with Karen J. And it was just one of those moments where I must have been ready to hear this. But I'm no different than some of the rest of you. I mean, I can identify with these stories where these little teeny things happen to us and we just go bonkers. And yeah, it's hard to keep our peace when we're in that moment. So Karen J, she challenged me to be a good observer of Catherine, this body that I call Catherine. That is not you. It is your body. She said, be an observer and you will learn. And no one had ever challenged me to do that, because I like so many of you, I'll sit in my victimhood. I'll sit in my poor me. I'll sit in that, oh, why is this happening to me? Instead of sitting and liking, what is this trying to teach me? What is here for me to learn? Now, that's a big shift for me, which I waited a long time to experience. And I'm not saying to you that I have this yet down, but just this practice of reading this, absorbing this, hearing each other's journeys, it just helps bring us to a different place. We're all shifting. And Homera, hooray for you. That's a huge shift. So I want to be like you. So thank you all. I just wanted to share that little piece of wisdom I got.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kathy. I know it's so cool that we get to pull each other along on this journey and really demonstrate with and for each other how our lives can be the heaven on earth that we've been looking for. We have that capacity to do that. Yeah. Who else would like to share? Go ahead, Phil, and then Holly.
Hey everyone, thank you for your share. And before I move, I wanted to check with you, Linda. Have you heard from Penelope how she's doing?
I talked to her yesterday morning. She's still not feeling great. She has definitely some kind of upper respiratory bronchial infection thing, and haven't heard if she got back her results from the COVID test yet. So yeah, continue to hold her in your prayers because she's not felt good for over a week. Yeah, thanks for asking, Phil.
Thank you. And I really want to, before I go on to saying what I want to say, I want to really say for Humera that you took such a great step. I have been talking about going for Vipassana for last 15 years, and I have not yet gained the courage to do it because I feel like, can I be with myself for that long? And of course, my husband went, but still I cannot do it. But maybe you have sparkled something, and I might just take that step sooner than later. And yeah, and thanks, Leslie, for all your stories. I love them. And you, Grace, too, and everyone else. And this is where, thing that stood out for me is in the first line, the Christ in you is very still. And I wrote down a question, why can't you be louder, please? Because I can hear the other voice being so loud, and I want the Christ in me to be louder and drown that other voice. And it goes on, he looks on what he loves and knows it as himself. And then I'm thinking, like, what is it that I am choosing to look on? And so whatever you focus on, it grows. And of course, I'm looking on, and on what is not going well or what is not going right. And so, and I want this voice to be louder. If only I could switch and say, what's going right on my day? What's going right now? And so then, I went to paragraph 3, and where it says, where could your peace arise but from forgiveness? And the Christ in you looks only on the truth and sees no condemnation that could need forgiveness. He is at peace because he sees no sin. And I'm like, what am I choosing to identify with? I could choose peace just like that. But I want to be right, right? Do I really want the peace more than wanting to be right? And this morning I was like literally irritated with another person in my life who's in this course, a different program that I'm doing. And we all of us are doing the same thing. And then I said, okay, we are going to focus on this lesson. And we all have done that. And she says, what lesson is that one? And I'm like, what are you? Are you from Venus? And am I from Earth? But I didn't want to say. And I just wanted to put the lesson 1. And then I said, no, I want to choose differently. And I said, lesson 1, because I had already given the title of the lesson. And so here is how, like, I am, what voice I'm trying to listen to. I'm telling myself, I want to hear the voice of Christ. And when I'm given the choice, what am I wanting to choose? The other voice seems so enticing, to make somebody wrong and make myself right, or to show somebody you're not pulling your weight. Don't totally depend on me. And so, of course, even as I'm saying it, who am I depending on? And this lesson has been beautiful, and it really, I mean, nowadays I'm enjoying these ones versus the earlier ones. And and it's not to beat myself up, but this is the place where I can let go of the conditions and be unconditionally loving and accepting myself even with all of that. And that is the road I'm choosing for myself, and in so doing I'm choosing it for everyone too, hopefully. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. And the only thing that came to me when you were sharing was, because I was hearing my own voice in my head as you were sharing, is the reminder that we're having a human experience, and in our human experience, noticing the things that are wrong or out of place is a human trait, because we had to run away from the tigers in the past, right? We don't have tigers running around anymore that we have to be aware of, but we're still the humanness of us is programmed to notice the things that are out of place, the things that are wrong, the things that we need to be aware of because possibly could kill us. So yeah, so it's just how we're programmed. And when we can realize that is when we can then make that choice from a loving place, going, okay, I don't need to be, scared of something outside of me, because there's no tigers that are going to eat me right now.
Basically choosing my focus, what I want.
Exactly. Yep. Choosing your peace.
Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. Holly, and then Carla, and then Robin.
Thank you, everyone, for your shares, and I certainly can relate to everything, believe it or not. But I just and this section, wow, I've got a lot highlighted. But I just wanted to touch on paragraph 9, starting with the third sentence. Christ has no doubt, and from his certainty, his quiet comes. He will exchange his certainty for all your doubts. If you agree that he is one with you, and that this oneness is endless, timeless, and within your grasp, because his hands, because your hands are his. He is with you, yet he walks beside you and before, leading the way that he must go to find himself complete. This quietness becomes your certainty. And I just, what a comfort. I just feel so comforted and loved reading very much of this, but that part I just really want to touch on. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Holly. Yeah, I love that line too. His quietness becomes your peace. Yeah, thank you. Carla and Robin, quickly, because we're getting towards the end of the call. I'd like to end on time so Leslie can get back to work.
Well, I just wanted to address what you spoke about, the mind, the ego mind, right? The ego thought system was here to protect us. And I think we've altered it. And of course, in the 7 Sacred Flames, it talks about the altered ego. It says, bring in the altered ego because it is also divine and an integral part of you. It is not something you can just get rid of. It's something you need to be, I don't know how to write words, but to integrate it into the wholeness of yourself for the ascension process. That's in the second meditation. And so I think what has happened, I know in my life, is that I started hating the ego. Like it was something bad and wrong, and I wanted to change. We shut the F up, and I wanted the spirit to be louder and all stuff. And that's what altered it, because only love is real. And so I miscreated through hating it for a long time. And so, not that you don't listen to it, but accept it where it is now. And that's where you are, because you are actually, like what you said, is the ego, the person, because we're not the person. It's just here to navigate this world form to assist us. And so I wanted to go to the last 2 lines in this. His quietness has become your certainty. It's line 6 in the last paragraph. His quietness has become your certainty. And where there is doubt, where is doubt when certainty has come? So I realized that doubt is just a thought, an ego thoughts that they offer me. And certainty is also a thought offered to me. Which one will I choose? That is my free will to choose which one I want. So I've realized that, not fully. I still kind of go a little once in a while, but that's what each of us are realizing. Not that I'm different or special or anything. That's what we're all doing. That's all I want to say.
Thank you, Carla. Thank you so much. Robin, bring us home, girl.
Well, Carla just read the sentence and shared about that being in quietness, so we're all taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. I know I can't read the word quiet without thinking of you anymore. So you're in every time I read A Course in Miracles, pretty much you're there. I appreciate that. I love it. All right.
I
So
could make jokes around this, but I'm just going to be quiet and say thank you.
you're welcome. It's only because I love you. So it's a good thing. So next week, continuing chapter 24, section 6, salvation from fear. And that's a nice little chunky one that's a few pages long. So that'll be nice. I'm going to read come back here, the insights from Pathways of Light for lesson number 208, which is my lesson today, which is actually a review of I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. And the peace of God is shining in me now, which it is shining in each and every one of us here. This world was made as a fence to keep God out. One of the chief ego mechanisms to keep awareness of God's presence hidden is to keep us preoccupied with all the forms found in this world of separation. As long as ego can keep us busy with endless pursuits that cannot bring us the peace of God, the ego thought system remains intact. In this world, most, if not all, of the hours of the day are spent directly or indirectly taking care of the body, which we believe is our identity. We are either working to earn money to pay for food, clothing, or housing for the body, or we are spending time giving it rest, bathing it, exercising it, preening it, trying to make it acceptable, whatever that means to us. When we are not actively involved in these things, we worry about things that could happen to the body. So we build defenses to protect against what might happen. This image that we have of ourselves is so fragile that it seems that it can be damaged by as little as a word or a momentary glance, which can throw us into fear or guilt in an instant. All of this keeps our attention on frantic and frenzied agenda to protect what we think we are. Yet this image has nothing to do with our true reality, with our self, capital S, as God created us. This is why we are asked to repeat many times a day for 20 days, I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. This repetition will help us loosen our identification with the false image we have held of ourselves. Each time we can take a moment to be still, to set aside the frenzy of the world ever so little, we move a step closer to recognizing the peace of God that is shining in us right now. As we can still our minds and feel the peace of God, we feel his safety and his strength. The body does not need our protection. It will reflect the safety we know when we remember the peace of God that is shining in our hearts. We are not asked to give up our identification with the body in one fell swoop, for the seeming sacrifice would be too frightening. We are simply asked to practice giving our attention to the fact that we are not a body. This practice will gently wean us from thinking we are a body to recognizing that we are, in fact, love's extension, wholly safe in love. While we remain in the dream of this world, we will continue doing things to care for the body, but we will recognize more and more that many of the things we thought would keep us safe or make us feel better really accomplish nothing. And so our life will become simpler and easier. Gradually, more of our time is used for awakening and serving the awakening of others. Our brothers become less and less adversaries and more seen as friends and companions, helping us return home. I am grateful to be reminded that the peace of God is shining in me now. The merry-go-round of this world will continue to go round and round until we choose to stop it. On this merry-go-round, it feels like a swirl of activity, but we are really going nowhere. We are going round and round, repeating the past over and over until we decide to step off and give our minds a rest from the ego thought system. Once we step off, there is quiet, there is stillness. We can experience the peace of God. We can hear the Holy Spirit and be aware of its returning us to the truth. The doorway through which we return home is through quieting our minds. When our minds are filled with the ego thought system, there is no room left to feel the peace of God. The peace of God is felt when all that is laid down. The peace of God is eternal. It is always there, waiting for our return. The peace of God is what we are. We may step back on the merry-go-round, but this time we have a new purpose. Everything is given a new meaning. We see everything differently. We realize how important it is to frequently step off and go to that quiet place in our minds where our Holy Spirit brings us peace and understanding. Our gratitude overflows as we learn to let go of fear thoughts and return to the love we are. We remember we are not a body, we are free. Nothing has changed. We are eternally extensions of love and nothing else, just love eternally. In truth, we do live happily ever after, as one, as love. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Linda.
Yeah, thank you. So good to see you all.
And you,
Thank you.
would you be
Thank
willing,
you,
Linda,
Linda.
to post that statement about not being our body? It's recommended in that reading that we do it, repeat it for 20 days. Would that be something that we could?
Oh, I am not a body, I am free. Absolutely. I'll put it in our post.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you so much,
everyone.
Linda. Thank you, everybody.
So good to
Thank
see
you,
you all.
everyone.
Have a beautiful week.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.
Mhm.